Hello, beautiful people. Good evening. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, my name is Ishell, also known as Shell, and welcome to Shell's Closet. I would like to take this moment to thank the channel members for their love and support. I want to say thank you to Journey with Kiki, Kimberly Davis, Happy 1178, and Lovely Samira. I hope that you are enjoying your channel benefits. Up next, we have the disclaimer. One moment, please. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, I'm here to give you the disclaimers for this here live. Listen, I do not tolerate disrespect. That's in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's towards me, towards anyone that appears on the screen, towards anyone that appears in the chat. If you have not decided to be a better person, most people will tell you to leave, but I'm going to tell you to stick around because maybe something that is said today will encourage you to do so. Now, I am not a mental health professional. I am just one woman willing to share my personal experiences to let you know two things. One, you are not alone, regardless of how much you feel like you are alone, how many times you have felt that, you are not alone. And number two, you can overcome anything that life throws at you. There will be curse words, there will possibly be tears, but knowing me, it probably will be. And my opinions are my opinions. Your opinions are your opinions. We are here to have a nurturing conversations in regards to our opinions so that we will have a better understanding of each other. That's all I got for right now. I hope that you enjoy this nurturing conversation. Let's get to it. Wait. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button that helps me say suggested on YouTube. Make sure that you type in the chat, also leave a comment, and share it with your friends. That's all I got. Let's get into this conversation. I love you. Peace. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. Welcome back. I'm trying a new camera right now. Trying new things. New things. Upgrading settings and all of those things. Hold on, I gotta put some lotion and some lip. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. I gotta remember to look at this camera. Okay, this is gonna be different, but we here with it. Oh, I need some lotion. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today's topic is give yourself permission. I figured it's the fourth month of the year, and we probably have New Year's resolutions that we either didn't accomplish yet or we're struggling to accomplish. And I want to make sure that I say to you, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be successful. Give yourself permission to rest. There's so many things that in life we don't give ourselves permission to do because sometimes we get caught in the rat race of I got to get this money, or I got to make sure that everyone else is okay, or I got to look out for, other people doing other things. But today I want to focus on giving ourselves permission, giving ourselves permission to be great, giving ourselves permission to go after what we want. I think a lot of times so many people have shared with us their visions or their hopes and their dreams, or even parents sometimes put your hopes and dreams on your children, and then they kind of lose themselves. They kind of lose their hopes, goals, dreams, and aspirations. Tonight, we're going to talk about all of that. Give yourself permission. I hope that with this conversation, you feel empowered, you feel motivated, inspired to give yourself permission. Like I said, it's the fourth month of 2023. We are still in a global pandemic. I did give y'all the disclaimer, so there will be curse words. I try not to curse as much, but sometimes they sneak out. I'm sorry. Oh, this camera is getting everything. Okay, sorry. Hi, lovely. How are you? So, what is give yourself permission? Give yourself permission is allowing yourself the opportunity allowing yourself the opportunity to be, to exist, to be, to live, enjoy, to be in the moment. Enjoy, like if you worked all of your life or you um, wanted to have something, so you worked really hard for it, is giving yourself permission to bask in the essence of that thing. Bask in the essence of it. If you worked hard, say you started a YouTube and you are finally starting to see likes, you're starting to see shares, you're starting to see comments. Like that's something that's doesn't come easy. Let me tell you, that's something that doesn't come easy, and that's something that should be celebrated. Maybe you started a YouTube and you're not like, oh, okay, let me strive for 1,000. Maybe you only strive for 100. I'll tell you guys about me as I'm saying this. Disclaimer: anytime I'm speaking to you guys, I'm only speaking about me. I never share anyone else's um, information that they disclose to me. Is just between me and them. If they, feel comfortable sharing, then they will share here. But you can feel free to share. But I am officially a live streamer. Well, I kind of been a live streamer for the last couple of years, but I will say I haven't really had a goal with live streaming. Well, I can't really say that because my ultimate goal for live streaming was just to be comfortable hearing the sound of my voice and being able to have a set schedule, figure out what times work, what times don't work, figure out what content work, what doesn't work. And so I feel like I kind of got a handle, not kind of. I feel like I have a handle on that right now. I feel like I definitely know the content that I want to offer. I feel as though I am very, very confident and I enjoy the sound of my own voice. And you probably like, oh, yeah, everybody likes to listen to themselves. Well, that wasn't the case for me. That wasn't the case for me. I had to give myself permission to say, I don't know why I just took that big of a breath right there, but I had to give myself permission to say, here's why we don't like the sound of our voice. Or this is why, you know what I'm saying? This is why I don't like the sound of my voice. And once I understood where it was, once I uprooted the reason why I didn't love the sound of my voice, I began to love the sound of my voice. I began to understand um, tone. I began to understand diction. Like I began to understand all of these things that I went to vocal therapy, voice lessons, all of these things they were trying to teach me. They were trying to instruct me. They were suggesting, they were showing me different ways to do it, but I could not get it. And that's because I hated the sound of my voice. It's kind of like with how I am with math. Like not money math, but like math where it's like um y plus x equals like I yeah, it's a no for me. But I'm good with money. So trust and believe I'm good with money. But it's just like I had to give myself permission to say, we need to figure out what it is. I had to give myself permission to do that. Like the last year I spent a lot of time doing nothing. It still got a little weird when I say that. I spend a lot of time doing nothing. Now this is huge for me because I spent the largest majority of my life working hard, going to school, reading, researching, trying to going to seminars, doing everything I could so that I could, forward my business ventures, forward myself, or put myself in a position where I could be the go-to person when it comes to music administration. However, 2022, I spent the last year doing nothing. Well, actually, I was doing something. I was recovering from major surgery, but I spent the last year not in a hustle and bustle, not going to seminars, not doing anything but focusing solely on being better, getting better, feeling better. And I'm going to be the first to tell you that was a really, 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 I'm putting a lot of reallys here because that was really, um, That was really tough for me. Because when I thought like not doing anything, like I felt lazy. I felt like I wasn't being successful in life. That's what I felt. That wasn't the truth of it, but that's how I felt because my entire life I spent it being busy. I spent it taking care of other people, doing everything else for everybody else, but I didn't focus on myself. So when it was like, sit down, I was still trying to do things. And then I went to a doctor's appointment and they were like, hernia. I said, okay, let me figure out what am I going to do so that I don't move. And I had to give myself permission to rest. Give myself permission to rest. I don't know, maybe you are in a situation where you constantly find yourself busy. You be when you like sleep, you be exhausted. It's because you were overworking yourself. Yeah, that was me. So when I finally gave myself permission to rest, um, that's one of the things we're definitely going to talk about too, because that helped me. Forgiveness, giving myself permission to forgive, not just other people, but to forgive myself. Oh, it's, oh, I'm sorry. I'm, is this journey of healing and self discovery has really been amazing for me. Like I had to give myself permission to do that. It's not like, oh, well, it's you. You could just do it. But it's like actually sitting down and being mindful of, okay, I've been walking around with this thing for so long. Am I going to continue to carry Erica Badu say bag lady? It could be if you're a guy or non-binary, you could put yourself, insert yourself into this song. You gonna hurt your back carrying all them bags. Like you're going to hurt yourself. It's 2023. It's the fourth month. It's like, hey, look back, right? Take a moment, look back. 3 years ago, we had no idea we would be in the space that we are in right now. 3 years ago, our life was like, ooh, well, I don't know. We couldn't hug people. We couldn't touch people unless they were in our homes. We didn't know if we were going to see like our family members. There was no backyard barbecues. There was nothing. We were just in the house trying to stay alive and not be sick. 3 years later, if you haven't made the decision to give yourself permission to live. I know a lot of us are still in survival mode. Listen, it's time to live. It's time to figure out, okay, maybe you had a hope. Maybe you had hopes, dreams, and aspirations of, okay, so let me tell you all this, all right? So I wanted to play in the WNBA, right? That was my ultimate objective. Life happened. I kind of put basketball. I mean, I play, here and there, and I do it for fun, right? But it wasn't like that level. So in my town, they are having a women's. It's not like a WNBA, but it's like I want to say a CBA, like it's a developmental league. That's what I sort of call it. It's a developmental league, and they are having tryouts on the end of this month. And I said to myself, I should go try out. Now I'm not going to try out to be like, oh, let me make the team. I'm going to try out because it's something that I always wanted to do, and I just want to prove it to myself that I could do it. Like give myself permission to even try that, especially after having a major surgery. I'm gonna tell y'all, my mindset. I just thought, so many things happened to me in my life, and I just thought, like, I was like, oh, this is just another health situation where, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be down for a little bit, but I'm gonna hop back up and I'm gonna get right to it. This one is totally different, and I'm in a much more uh, positive space where I can take the time and do the things necessary for me to um, grow and heal and learn and understand how the different foods we eat, how the different things we drink, like what we put in our body affects our everyday life. Like I've never been more um, mindful of the things that I eat or drink, or the times that I eat or drink. Like I've never been more mindful than now. Maybe it's because I'm in my 40s. I don't know. But I don't think it's that. I think I'm just really concerned about being healthy. I'm really concerned about being around for a long time. Um, so I'm giving myself permission to, like, I'm starting juicing in the morning. I went and got all the fruit. I was going to do it today, but I was like, no, let's just start fresh in the morning. So in the last 3 years, I've been juicing. I juiced for 2020, 21, and then I got sick in 22. And so I realized that I have a weird dynamic with food right now. So I'm working that out, and I'm just going to go back to juicing because when I was juicing, I felt lighter. I had energy. My mind was clear. It was like there's no fog. Like I could just see everything clearly, like literally clearly. So I'm giving myself permission to go back to juicing and be more disciplined because that's the thing that I realized that I lacked the most. And I want to say it's because when I grew up, um, I didn't have um, I didn't have discipline. I didn't have discipline. I didn't have anybody. Well, wait. I was disciplined. There was discipline, but it wasn't like I didn't have anyone to really tell me no. I didn't have anybody to really be like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that." Like there was, it was like I'm the only girl. I'm the oldest, so it was like pretty much you want to fly to Vegas by yourself, go ahead and do that. Nobody was like, no, you shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea. You never been to Vegas before. It's like, oh, yeah, sure. I don't think that they believed that I would actually do it by myself. Now that I think about it, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they didn't think that I would actually do it by myself. And so that pushed me to do it. So I spent a lot of time in my 20s traveling to different places by myself, enjoying life. And then I hit 30, and then it seemed like all the enjoyment in my life kind of like was at a standstill because what had happened was um, my my life was saying, my life, my mind, my heart, my body, everything within me was saying it is time for us to resolve the things of your past. You know, like we be holding on to stuff and it's like, oh, I can't let it go. I asked a couple of weeks ago, or actually a month ago now, who would you be without your traumas? Like if you didn't have traumas, who would you be? And like basically, I guess I'm saying who would you be now that you have trauma? So how have you adjusted your life with the traumas? So I had to spend time, or I began to take time to deal with the traumas of my past. Some not, some willingly, and some not so willingly. Because here's what I figure, right? When you give yourself permission to heal, right? We give ourselves permission to heal, and like all everything we do as adults, we want it to work when we want it to work. We want it to happen how we want it to happen. So I had this whole I'm laughing now, but it's not funny. I had this whole idea of how I was going to heal. Like I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna talk about it and that was gonna be it, right? You know, it's like, oh, I just address it and that's gonna be it. But I wasn't mindful of all the things that had attached itself to that situation. That's like I started going to therapy and then I started learning about triggers, and I actually thought they were like fake. Like, you know, people like, oh, I'm triggered. It's like, okay, by what? But in reality, you really are triggered. So I began to understand triggers. I began to understand that I had completely become cold. I become a robot. That's what I'll say. I become a robot. I was cold to sharing emotions or displaying emotions. And I would hear all the time, it's like, I'd be in professional settings and it's like don't ever let them see you sweat. Don't let them see you cry. And so now you walking around here and I'm extremely emotional. I'm extremely distraught, but I can't cry because then you're going to see me cry and then that's going to be a sign of weakness, and there's all these different things that we go through. So then like I had to fight I had to remove, I said this a minute ago, like, well, when I first started my journey to healing and self discovery, I said I had to remove the strong black woman. I had to remove that. I had to remove that from my life. Like, I am a black woman and I am strong. It's just I had to remove that because that kept being barrier to healing. Now, I'm not saying that's your barrier, but I was saying that's my barrier to healing because I wouldn't allow myself, I wouldn't give myself permission to cry. I wouldn't give myself permission to feel. I wouldn't give myself permission to even like give thought to the process. I wouldn't even, it was like, okay, it happened and I throw it in the back of my mind and I move on to something else. But then when I hit 30, it was like, hey, we have no more room. We need you to start dealing with things. And I want to encourage you right now, if you have been feeling for the last month, weeks, minutes, days, hours, if you have been feeling like it is time for you to let stuff go, I want you to give yourself permission to do that. If that means going to therapy, if that means join a support group, if that means journaling, if that means writing in a diary or doing a uh, starting a YouTube channel where you just talk about your experiences, I want to encourage you to let it go. Because as someone who held it in for so long and stroke, nervous breakdown, just all manners of things, I don't want to see you go through that. I would rather tell you, hey, it's time. It's time. I realize, like, not only am I giving myself permission, I want to give you permission, even if you're here. Like, lovely. Thank you for commenting in the chat. I want to give you permission to speak where you are. Lovely just talked about giving myself permission. I, I I did not know that I needed to forgive myself. You know, you hear like forgive, forgive, forgive. It's like, oh, I'm not forgiving him. I could forgive. How many times I could forgive, but I will never forget what happened. The reality of it is you will never forget what happened to you. That's when you have to forgive. Like you have to look inside yourself and forgive yourself, because what I have come to realize that anything that I forgive, I'm not holding on to it anymore. I need that space for something else. I'm trying to travel across the world. I need that space for all the memories I'm getting ready to create. You know what I'm saying? I can't be like, oh yeah, I forgive you, but every time I see you, I'm gonna bring back up the thing that you did. No, once I forgive you, I move on. I've cleaned that space. Thank you for occupying the space. You moved on. Clean that little space out, and I was like, an open closet for memories. That's what it is. Um, and then when it comes to giving yourself permission, right? A lot of times, I was just sharing with someone. I said, um, when we're being raised or we're growing up, we're not actually taught to focus on ourselves. Like, think about it, right? When you were growing up, how often was it like you took a nap? Like, say you want to sit in your room and just do nothing, right? How often did you do that? How often did you just sit in your room? Or how often did you just take some time to yourself? Or were you always at family functions? Or were you always just like the life of the party? Like, how often did you like seclude yourself? I don't know if I want to say seclude, but how often did you just take some time out of the day just to be by yourself? Like, I know if you're a parent that's like, it's going to the bathroom. And sometimes if you go to the bathroom, that doesn't even work, because I don't think kids understand that you're supposed to be in the bathroom by yourself. I don't think they get it yet. They don't care. They they really don't care. They don't care. But how often do you take time for yourself? When I thought about it, I was like, I bust my ass for so long. And I'm sitting here wrecking my brain like I can't just not do nothing, because I'm gonna be lazy, and then I'm just gonna lose. I'm not gonna be able to pick it up. I'm a, like it's just gonna disappear. You know, like they say, once you learn how to ride a bike, that's something that always stick with you. I was really convincing myself that I was not going to be able to do this, and I was like, no, I have to give myself permission to rest. I have to give myself permission to rest. That's what I was saying. Like, when we're growing up, we're not taught to like rest. No, you got to work till you get tired. And when you get tired, you still got to work. Who's going to pay the bills if you don't pay them? Who's going to make sure that the household is maintained? Who's going to raise the kids? This is why I always be saying when I be talking to y'all, I be saying if you are a parent, you have to make sure that you are whole. Um, you are whole yourself. Like you have to think about your childhood, your experiences that you went through, and I know you probably watching this. You're just like, oh, my childhood ain't, and I'm not doing this sarcastically, but I kind of am because a lot of people be like, oh, ain't nothing happened to me in my childhood. There's no, my childhood was great. Everybody childhood was probably great, but I guarantee you could look at something like maybe your mama told you she was gonna buy you that Cabbage Patch doll. Do y'all remember Cabbage Patch doll? Maybe your mama told you she was gonna get you a Cabbage Patch doll, or maybe your daddy told you he was gonna come and pick you up. And you sat in the window and you watched and you waited. You fell asleep in the window, watching and waiting, and you didn't move because you was like, "No, my daddy is coming to get me." Or your mom told you about that Cabbage Patch doll. Every time you go to the store, is this the one I'm gonna get? You kept asking the questions, and then you realize one day you didn't ask the questions anymore. You didn't ask the questions. You wasn't waiting in the window. You just kind of was like, yeah, okay, that's it. Well, you didn't call it a lie at that time because you didn't know that's what it was. You was just like, you felt that disappointment. You felt that hurt. You felt that disappointment. And then after a while, like nobody talks to you. Like nobody talks to you about that, right? When you're a child, we don't we don't talk to children about their disappointments. We just look at them like you're a child. You're a kid. What kind of stress? I heard someone say, "What you're a kid? What kind of stress do you have?" And I was like, "Have you seen what's going on with schools nowadays? Like, have you seen it? Like, do you watch the news? Like, do you know like you kiss them, you hug them goodbye, and send them to school, and some of them don't come back home. Like that's a lot of stress. I definitely feel like this pandemic was a lot of stress because everyone that was in school, some of them like didn't have proms and homecomings and basketball games and like none of the stuff that we looked forward to in going to school. They didn't have those opportunities. They had to sit in front of a computer and go to school. And then that even changed the dynamic with how parents were able to work with their kids because now you can't just blame the teacher for your child not being successful when it comes to their education. You had to actively have a role in their education. So their parents have to give their children permission to be themselves. Give their children permission to rest, talk to them. Like it's like we go to work. Some of us go to work 20, 40, whatever number of hours you go. And then you look forward to the weekend. Why? Because that's your time to decompress. You kick back. You don't go anywhere, you do go out, you hang out, you catch a movie, you spend time with your family and friends. And like right now, it's Sunday, right? It's probably getting time. You like, oh man, if you work third shift, you're like, oh man, I gotta go back to this job. Or you gotta go to work in the morning. It's like, oh, let me start to wind down my day, make sure your kids ate, their clothes is laid out for the next day. You wrapping up your day, right? And then you're gonna get up in the morning and it's just like, oh, I gotta go to this job. I want you to give yourself permission. This is something that I realized on this journey of healing self discovery that I didn't do a lot of. I didn't do a lot of being happy. Like I smiled, like I am essentially I'm happy, but I didn't give myself um, the proper space to be happy. Like I'll smile, like yeah, that was good. I did a good job. Thank you. Pat myself on the back, and then I move on. I realized um, I had a couple of podcast interviews every month since January. I've had a podcast interview, and so what I realized in the podcast interviews is that they will like highlight the things that I have accomplished, and it was kind of weird. It put me in a weird space because again, I've never allowed myself to be happy. I've never like celebrated my accomplishments. I've never even given myself space to bask in the ambiance or the the excitement, the joy of what I've never done that. So when I'm hearing these people give me praise and accolades, I'm like, okay. So I put my head down, and I'm noticing this every conversation, every interview. I'm noticing this, right? So this last interview, I sat and I never would listen back to the podcast or the interviews. I never, even when I do YouTube videos, I never used to listen back. But this year, I've been listening back, right? And I realized I was able to with connect the dots between why I felt uncomfortable when people address or highlight the things that I've done, and I made the connection to that. When I made that connection, it caused me, whoa, whoa. Sorry, y'all. I should probably put a disclaimer at the beginning that sometimes as I'm talking, I will be processing things because I didn't know that I was going to be processing this right now. I thought I had like processed it when I came across it. But, anyways, so I realized that it tied back into an incident that I experienced in my childhood. And if you ever like had someone give you a compliment and then had something really traumatic happen after that, it kind of changes the way that you view, or I'll say for me, it changed the way that I viewed compliments. It changed the way that I view compliments. And so I would hear a compliment and then I would immediately go on guard. Like I don't I would just be okay, my guards is up, my spidey sense or whatever it is, my intuition is high. Like I'm paying attention, I'm observing everything in the room. I'm going to know the next few seconds what's about to happen. And then I realized that I lived the largest majority of my life guarded. I lived the largest majority of my life not trusting other human beings. I lived so much of my life just being afraid. Um, I lived a large majority of my life being afraid. And this is when I say I have to give myself permission to feel. I have to give myself permission to be happy. I have to give myself permission to understand that a lot of things that happened to me, I didn't like, hey, look at me do this. No, it was like uh, people taking advantage. And at the time, I used to say to myself, I was like, man, I wish somebody would have told me. I wish somebody would have said. But at the time, as I look back now, it's like, what would people have said? Like, what could somebody have possibly said to me that would have made me feel safe? That would have made me feel understood? Like, what could they have possibly said? That's when I had to give myself permission to forgive myself. Because you know when things happen to you when you're a child, it's always like no one the adults don't take accountability. Some of them still don't take accountability to this day because you could tell them something happened to you when you were younger, and they gonna look at you like I did the best I could. I did the best I could, but that's when you have to give yourself permission to forgive. Give yourself permission to, if you never receive an apology, if you never hear the words, I'm sorry, if you never hear the words, forgive me, that's when you have to find it within yourself and say, I am going to, I shall be great. I shall forgive myself. I shall move past this. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be the first to tell you that, maybe I'm not the first, but I will tell you that it's not easy. It's an everyday process. It's every day. That's just like when I said I was gonna be light, love, and positivity, right? Um, I didn't realize the magnitude of peace and calmness and understanding and just um, the amount of calmness it takes, or the amount of rest it takes to just be light, love, and positivity. I was telling someone, I said, you know, when we were growing up and they tell you if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. And then you think about that, you're like, yeah, I know, don't have anything to say at all. But if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. That part that kept getting me. It means if you don't have anything good to say, don't even try to find words, don't even put place fillers, just be silent. As someone who likes to talk, it was kind of difficult for me to be silent, but the more I was silent, the more I meditated, the more I just spoke positive affirmations to myself, the more I spoke positive affirmations over other people, the more I realized that I became even more positive. I became even more aware of the things that are going on. Like I realized that the more I scrolled on social media, like my temperament would change. Like it would just be like I went from being high to like low, like real low. And I was like, wait a minute. Now before I sit down to look at this phone, I was, oh, let me go ahead and put this phone away and let me get to writing out my goals for the week. Let me get to working on my vision book. Let me get to like working on these different projects. Let me get to doing that because that's going to build my energy. That's going to make me vibrate a lot more higher. I realized I stopped hanging out with certain people because maybe you got that one friend that calls you every time that they get in a jam and they get in a situation, or that baby daddy, baby mama, cousin, anybody don't like agree with them, and they call you and they talking your ear off about the same story that they have every time they call you. That's when you got to be like, listen, if you don't have a solution, like let's come to a solution. You calling me to that, let's come to a solution. If that person keep cheating on you, leave them. You see that silence right there? Leave them. You don't have to say anything else, just say leave them. Offer them, a quick suggestion. Because a lot of times people just like to vent, and I'm cool with people venting, but it's like what happens after the vent, you know? Like people call you and they dump all that stuff on you, and they be like, "Oh, girl, I feel so much better." Or, "Hey, bro, thank you for being a listening ear." And now you got to sit with everything that they just dumped on you. Yeah, I stopped being a dumpster a long time ago. I start to focus. I start to be mindful of what I put in my ears, what I put in my sight. That's when I tell you, like, that's something that I had to realize. Like, I realized it. Like now, like parents, you be really mindful of what is put in front of your child or what you show your child, because children are influential. They are easily influenced, as people say. I like to say, parents, if you are watching, if you are listening, I know that you are trying to protect your child from outside sources, like things outside of your home, but the greatest teachers for your children are you. So if you allow your significant other to disrespect you, you are showing your children that it's okay to be disrespected. It's okay to have people put their hands on them. It's okay to have people belittle them or talk down to them. That's what you're showing them, that it is okay for it to happen. And you probably thinking like, no, I don't let them see me. They still can hear you. Give yourself permission to put yourself first, so that when it comes time to for your children, they will know that you love them. You love them enough to put them in a safe space. You love them enough to care so much about yourself to get yourself together. Give yourself permission to heal. That's a big one. Like I want people to give themselves permission to be great, give themselves permission to up, speak up. Like you hear people come out and they say, "Hey, this happened to me when I was 10, 9, 8, 15, 20, or whatever age they are, right?" And then you ever like sit there and be like, "Why did they wait so long?" Like I was talking to or I was watching, TikTok. There's this debate, or it's not really a debate. There's a conversation being had. There is a gospel artist, a well-known gospel artist, who has a child who is of the LGBTQI+A community, and she basically was saying like, there's no like they being us in the the alphabet mafia, has no grace or has no understanding or no space for understanding when it comes to parents who believe in God. And I'm watching the debate, and I'm like, okay, it's not a debate, it's a conversation. Well, it kind of turned into a debate because I'm watching a conversation and I'm like, I'm listening to the lady who she started it. So I'm listening to her talk, and she basically was saying like, I love God. I believe in God. I believe in his word. I believe everything he said. I'm just trying to find a space where you as to love and agree with you in your lifestyle as my child. And I was just like, whoa, that's heavy. Because it's like you have your God, you have your religion, you have your child who goes against your child, your God and your religion, and you have to find a space to balance your love for your God and your love for your child. And then a young man who's of the LGBT community responded, and I was watching. Like his response was basically, um, there should be like, I'm your child, that's your God. Like, we get what he said, or we get what it is alleged that he said. That's a lot of stuff for me, but we understand. Everybody who knows a deity know how that deity feels about homosexuality. Allegedly, I'm gonna say that, allegedly. So he was basically just saying like, you are my mother first, so you should love me as a child, or you should love your child, and get to understand them and know. And then I was saying like, I completely understand it. Like, I see where she's coming from, because it's like, all this new gay all of this new gay stuff, it's like all this is new to me, which really it hasn't. It's not new, it's been around for forever. But when people find out that their child is cool, when it's somebody else do it's cool when they do it, but it's messed up when I do it. Anyways, I want parents, I'm saying all that because I want to say this. I want to say, parents, give yourself permission to love and understand and get to know your child. Throw away all the stuff that you heard. I know you can't really throw it away because it's been ingrained from the time you were born into whatever religion. But I'm going to tell you, like, remove all of that. Look at your child. Look at the human being that was in your stomach, that was moving, it was feeding for you. You was giving it everything. They were in there. You build a bond, a connection. I want you to look at your child and give yourself permission to understand them. Don't understand them according to your religion. Don't understand them according to your God. Understand them as a mother or a father or another human being. Give yourself permission to do that. Because I feel like a lot of times we have outside influences that keeps us from building those relationships. Like, I want to encourage families to give yourself permission to love your sister, love your brother, love your cousin, love your auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa. Like, actually love them. Don't love them because, yeah, that's my grandma, or yeah, that's my mother, or that's my uncle, that's my mother's brother, so that's my uncle. That's the only reason why you actually love them. The reality of it is, a lot of people are just families because they have the same last name. They don't really interact with each other. They don't spend time with each other. They just family because they have the same last name. 2023, I want you to give yourself permission to get to know the other people in your family. Remember, we used to have family reunions, like we all knew who our cousins and aunties and uncle was. Like, do people still? I mean, I know we're in a global fucking pandemic, but like, take the time to do that. Give yourself permission to get to know someone. Get to know your kids. Don't just, oh, that's those my kids, and yeah, she like basketball, he like baseball, football, or whatever, and you don't even know that your kid don't like any of those sports. They would rather be playing chess, but because they don't want to disappoint you. Isn't that a crazy thing? Like, like there's parents and then there's kids, and like, we don't want to disappoint you, so we do whatever. Like, if you smile when we go to school and get good grades, we gonna be trying to get them good grades because we gonna see you smile. Imagine if a child never sees you smile. Imagine if a child never sees you cry. I'm not saying just like be it, oh, in front of your child, just like breaking down. And I only said that for those people who feel like I'm not about to do that. Imagine, imagine you making a mistake as an adult, as a parent, and you apologize to your child. Do you know how that would change the trajectory of that child's life? You're probably like, man, my mother and nobody ever apologized to me. Change the course of the next generations. Last month I talked about generational curses, generational secrets, generations different. I talked about generations everything because I realized a lot of the things that we know was taught to us. Like I say to people, I say a lot of things like when you grow up, right, when you're born, you're either male or female, right? You're like you don't have the option to choose what you want to be. You're just automatically male or female. And then I began to understand. Um, I have an understanding of what non-binary means, and totally agree and understand with people who identify as non-binary because, but I see where, in my opinion, I understand where um, the push and pull comes in. That's what we want to say. It's because for so long, we have only known male and female. It challenges everything. Anytime something challenges what we've known, think about it in your life right now. Think about it. Anytime something challenges what you have known to be true your entire life, how do you feel? Do you welcome it with open arms? Do you be like, "Yeah, I'm all for it," or you just sit back and be like, "Nah." You find ways to like pick it apart because it's not something you're used to. I realized about myself, like, I love a challenge. I love, like, when there's a presentation or if there is something where it's like I get to like dispel, like, I love it. I love when people be like, homosexuality is not natural, and then you can point to all of the 30 plus different animals that like are, and people was like, no, it's like God didn't make, and it's like, but didn't God make? And that's not just to say about homosexuality. It's also to say about even like um, people who are born with male and female anatomies. I always used to wonder, right? I had to give myself permission to explore and to research and look into stuff, right? And not just because I was trying to be nosy, but because I really want to understand. Like there are people who are actually born with male and female parts. So then are they still required to identify as male or female? See, that's where I would think non-binary comes in. I know the other people who I know I get it, but for me, that's where I think non-binary because you know like so I had a question and I found a TEDx talk that answered my question. My question was, if there are people born with male and female parts, who determines who determines what they are going to be? Who determines like so um I've done extensive research because this not only intrigued me, this is definitely something that I've been thinking about. I always had questions, but nobody would entertain me with my questions. I'm gonna say that nobody would entertain me because it was always like it's male or female, and that was it. Like no one even wanted to talk a little further. But so when you think about it, right? Like when parents are pregnant with their babies or the little human beings that are on the inside of them, they have the option to know if their baby has like a disease or if their baby is going to have developmental defects. Like they have all of those options, right? And then when they have the baby, it's like your baby has two parts. Like, so in my mind, it's like, okay, if what if the parent decides that they want to have a boy and then the girl parts of the child are like removed or whatever happens with that, and then say the child grows up and like we wanted a son, so we have a son and you're doing everything for a son, but your son doesn't feel like a son. Your son feels like an actual daughter. It feels like a woman. And so now your son is like battling because you addressed him as a he and he feels like a she. And so now we're living in an age now where kids are vocal, they're more vocal in saying, I don't identify, or I don't feel like a he, I feel like a she. And then there becomes this struggle between the parents and the child um, because the child does not identify as the parent, what the parent wished. And I'm talking about this because maybe you're watching this and maybe your child is identifying as something other than, you know, going back to the conversation that's on TikTok. The lady said she had to grieve her son becoming, she had to grieve her son as she knew him, and she struggled to accept him the way that he is. And I was like, she had to grieve the way that she knew him, but he's still him. He's just gay. And then that was just me and me just thinking like, you don't, like, I get it, like I understand, like, okay, I get it, but he's still him. He didn't change. He's just gay. He's just gay. But it sparked a really huge conversation between the church and between the gays. It's always a conversation between the church and the gays. Let's give ourselves permission to understand. Let's just do that. And as a gay who grew up in church, um, there's so many misconceptions. There's so many misconceptions. And a lot of the misconceptions come from the fear mongering. A lot of the misconceptions come from people not even trying to take the opportunity to understand gays. That's it. That's it. Um, I feel like if we gave ourselves permission to learn and understand the thing that makes us afraid, or that causes us um, fear when it comes to things, if we gave ourselves permission to get to know people, right? It's people like when they talk to me and I be like, nah, I'm gay. They look at me like they rattle off a whole list of, you don't look gay, you don't sound gay. Why you don't be wearing a rainbow? Why you? They got all these different. It's like a whole thing. When I tell you, when people find out that I'm gay, it's a whole list of things that people real life be doing, and I just be looking like, wait, I I I never wore braids to the back. I never. I don't know. I'm a woman. I love being a woman. I like women. I love. It's the whole thing, and they were just like, well, you don't act like the other gay people, and I'm just like, what other gay people? Because it's like people classify. There's so many different classifications. Like if we just give ourselves permission to like accept people for who they are, accept people for that's all we gotta do. Accept people for who they are, not who we want them to be. That's why I be saying at the end of my thing, not who we want them to be, but accept them for who they are. If we give ourselves permission to accept people for who they are, a lot of this, like a lot of racism, a lot of sexism, a lot of these things wouldn't exist because we understand you are different from me, I am different from you, but let's sit down and have a conversation so we can find common ground. That's something I wish that more people um, did. I wish that more people was like, you know what? I'm gonna give myself permission. I don't know anything about the LGBT community other than what I heard from my religion, but let me talk to somebody. Like I real life, I didn't mean to make this about homosexuality, but I mean, hey, I'm gay. Um, I wish more people took the time to say, um, let me talk to someone who is gay so I can, get a understanding, gain some ground, or like, try to figure it out. But instead, it's like if you know somebody who is gay, they're going to touch you and you're going to be gay. You're going to get the gay touch. Oh, you can't hang around them because they're gay. So you're going to start acting gay, it's doing gay things. It's like, it don't work like that. Like I told somebody, like the same way you look at a guy, or you can tell if you want a tall, short, fat, skinny, dark, light, it's the same way when I look at women. Like that's some of the qualifications I'm more for, anyways. But those are some of the same things that how we look for people. It's like, oh, when you hear gay, it's just automatic, like, oh, they gonna try to turn me, like we monsters or something. We're not monsters. We actually are loving, kind people who just want to be loved and respected the same way you do. I remember when I came out, like this is why I realized, um, if families give, if family gives their family, if people give permissions. I don't even know. It sounds so weird to say give permission, because if you're a family, that's something that should just automatically happen, right? It should just automatically be love there, right? Like if you are a mother and you find out that your daughter is gay or your son is gay, that's something that you should just automatically just like open your arms, hug your child, um, and love them. That should make you love them more. I'm gonna tell you why it should make you love them more, because the world that we live in, and I'm not even talking about the world outside of our homes. I'm talking about the world in our houses, where most people don't even have to think about. This is what the young man said. This is why it was like, okay. The young man said, as a a member of the gay community, I'm just gonna keep saying, a member of the gay community, you have to battle religion, you have to battle other people's opinions, you have to battle the way the world looks at people that are gay. You have to do all of that on the outside. And then to have to do all of that on the outside and make it to your front door and come in the house and still have to battle all of that in your home, where is the safe space? And when he said that, I was like, this is why I be doing nurturing conversations, because these is the kind of conversations I be wanting to have with people, because it's like, if, and we don't even have to talk about gay. Let's just talk about a child, or let's just talk about people, period. Maybe you're an adult. Maybe you experienced growing up the black sheep of the family, or maybe you experienced the being the oldest child and taking care of any and everybody. And now it's like, I'm focusing on me. Maybe those are your situations, right? So when you go outside and you're not picking up the phone for people, you're not being the yes person, you're not doing all of that. Now you have to deal with that over there. Then if you're going on social media and you're seeing all these women with BBLs and the veneer teeth, now you have to deal with that. Then you got to deal with your childhood. Like there's so many different things you got to deal with. Where do you go to feel safe? Where do you go to like recharge your battery, like recharge the self-esteem, recharge the love, recharge the self-respect, because we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about self-love, self-respect. We don't talk about that. We talk about respect for other. We don't talk about forgiveness of self. We don't talk about those things. It's always, whenever it's mentioned to us, it's always for other people. Like think about it, right? When you're growing up, you're taught to take care. If you're the oldest, you're taught to take care of everybody. You're taking care of your parents. You're taking care of your brothers and sisters. When do you have time to take care of yourself? You making sure everybody eat, they get to school, they get to bed, they cook. You cooking, you doing all of that. When do you have time for yourself? If you're a parent and you're the oldest, and now you're looking at your kids, and it's like, okay, your kids are, there was a generation of kids who were like parents, because their parents were so busy working. Like you were the babysitter, you were everything. You didn't have the opportunity to be out here going to sports things, and if you did, you had to be right back at home because your brother or sister, or it was, the dynamics had shifted. It's like parents back in the days, they was at home taking care of their 15, 20, 16. Do y'all know that they used to have them number of kids now? Back then, 15, 16, 18 kids. And I used to look and be like, they used to take care of each and every one of them. Each and every one of them, the mothers from back then, would take care of each and every one of them. They would feed them, clothe them. Now, you might have had hand me downs or whatever, but you always looked, they looked it nice. They always ate. Might not been steak, shrimp, lobster, seafood boys, crab boys like these kids be eating. Might not been that, but they always had food on their stomach. I I had to give myself permission. I had to give myself permission to say it's okay if you can't do something for someone. Before, I would break my neck. I would break my neck to make sure that everybody else was taken care of. And I'm going to tell you the really exceptional thing that I realized in this last year. You know, it's like you work, you do everything for everybody, like you that go to person, right? And then you fall on hard times, right? Or not necessarily hard time, but you're not having it, or you're not able to move around. In my case, you're not able to move around. You're not able to do the things that you formerly did, right? I was more concerned about not being able, or my independency, or being independent, that I didn't allow the people around me to lift me up. If you know what I'm saying. Like I didn't give them the opportunity. Like I can't be like, oh, let me lean on you, because I never gave them the opportunity for me to lean on them. Like I always got it together. Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna figure it out. Like I never gave people that option. So when I went and I had surgery and I couldn't do anything, and then it was like I had to trust my community. As somebody who struggled with trust issues, I had to trust my community. And when I said to trust, I had to trust for some, like, bathing, food, like the most basic necessities. I had to trust them for that. And so a year later, right now, I'm understanding. I get it. I got it. And I struggled with it in the beginning because I was so used to doing it on my own. And then it was like, you have to give yourself permission to allow others in. And I keep telling myself this all the time, like, I am not an island. I didn't consider myself an island before, but I am not an island. I have a strong community around me that has kept me lifted throughout a global fucking pandemic, and especially last year, they kept me lifted. They kept me lifted on a level where it was just like, oh my God, I never even thought that I could even, like, trust anybody else to do this. I never even thought. But then I said, back way, I said at the beginning of this conversation, when you have an idea, when we have an idea, we have when you think about our kids, oh, my child gonna grow up and be in the NBA, or they gonna um, play baseball, they gonna play football, or they gonna be entrepreneurs, or they gonna, we like have all these hopes, dreams, and aspirations. They gonna grow up and they gonna get married. They gonna have the house, the car, two kids, a dog, a white picket fence. They gonna just make a name for themselves, right? And then as you are looking at your child, you don't realize that your child might not be the journey or the path that your child wants to go down, right? You have to give yourself permission to say, I did everything that I could to get them to this point. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I'm not referring to people as horses, but I'm using the analogy of, there's kids who come from well to do families, and they have everything, but they will squander all of that just to come into the inner city and to understand what the ghetto is like. That's what they call it. We call it the hood, they call it the ghetto. But they will squander all of that just to live a day in our shoes. That's why a lot of these celebrities, when they say, well, I want my kids, like Snoop Dogg was like, I want my kids to go back to the neighborhood. I want them to see where I came from and understand, like, yeah, I'm allotting y'all the opportunity to, like, have all of these things. I totally agree with, like, parents that have a balance, like, not parents that's just like, oh yeah, you never go over there to the ghetto, because, like, understand, like, where I live, I feel like maybe every town, every city, every state has it like this. It's like you have the north side where there's like uppity. Then you have the south side. Like the south side is this whole little, they got their own little thing. They got their own little vibe. So where I live is like the north side, you know. The east side is like where all the creative, eclectic people be. The south side is like the south side. That's like all the Hispanics are over there. And then like now there's like Chinatown. It's not Chinatown, but it's like, where, and it's like everybody is so where they are. And me, I be coming and going in all of these different circles, just like connecting and making, networking. And then I just think to myself, like, when will we give ourselves permission to realize that our ancestors fought for us to be able to be equal, to be able to like um come together. Like I get it, we want to hang out with our own communities. I get that, but when do we like take up Dr. King's stance and say, let's go over here and work with our Asian brothers and sisters, or work with, like, when do we do that? Like, when do we give ourselves permission to let go of the things that we were taught, which a lot of it, I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it was taught out of fear. A lot of it was taught out of fear. And when you give yourself permission to like discover or learn um, the root of the things that you were taught, when you give yourself permission to grow beyond what you were taught. Like I know that there's this saying where um, some people feel like the student never outgrows the teacher, and I say, they're like, oh no, the student can never learn more than the teacher. And I was like, what if the teacher only went to get a bachelor's degree, but the student goes on to go get a master's and a PhD? Technically, the student has outgrown the teacher, right? I don't know. But I just be thinking like a lot of times the things that our parents experience and the things that they know, a lot of it comes from survival instincts. A lot of it comes from things that were passed down to them. And then at some point it's somebody has to say, you know what, I don't agree. Like I don't agree. This is just my opinion. Let me make sure I say that. I do not agree in disciplining or physical discipline of children. It That's just not something that I agree with, because I look at it as trauma. So I have nieces and nephews, and I don't pop them. I don't do any of that. I guess they call it gentle parenting. That's who I. That's me, the gentle auntie. But no, I just wanna like I want to talk to them. I want to like, hey, um, let's converse. Let's talk about what happened when I do something. It's like they gonna run all over you, and I just look like them. They don't run over me. They run to me if they have a situation. Like my brother can literally be sitting right next to me. They will literally walk past him and say "TT," and I laugh because I know why they do it. Because it's like I know she gonna do it. If I said they come to my house, I say, "What we not gonna do? You not gonna be hungry." That's number one. You're not gonna be hungry. We gonna do something fun. We gonna either like Kira has this thing where she has Kira Spa, Mateo and Cam. Like I have whiteboards, big whiteboards, so I let them draw on the whiteboards. They don't write on the walls, and isn't that amazing? They don't write on the walls, and they draw, and I just look like, at what point did we stop like investing in the next generation? Like when did we stop like saying, oh, like I remember when I was growing up, my mom put us in like Saturday school. We were learning how to code. We we had everything. We had games, not just like we had video games too. We had games that like challenged us. That's why I love Scrabble. That's why I play Words on String, because I love anagrams. I love all of those things. Like we were always being challenged. There was encyclopedias, and it wasn't like, oh, you had to read a page out of the encyclopedia. It was like games where it was like money, and it was all like learning. And for me, it's like, when did they stop that? I remember when they had leapfrogs and they would teach the kids. Like, remember there was Barney and Blue's Clues and Sesame Street. I think Sesame Street's still around, but remember it was like, let's educate them, and then it's like silence. Like, do they still have leapfrog? Like I be wondering. I don't have kids, so I wouldn't. I mean, I'm gonna have nieces and nephews, but they don't have leapfrogs either. So I'm just like, when do we stop like teaching the next generation? Like, do we just let them grow up and be whoever they gonna be? Like, we don't like guide them and say, hey, education is important. Now, as someone who went to school and has a bachelor's degree and like 9 credits away from a master's degree, I would say, like, people ask me, should I go to college? And I would say, like, I'll say it like this: I endeavor it. Should I say it was my endeavor? I endeavored to go to graduate school for entertainment law, right? And a couple of people that I know, they were like, you're going to actually go to school to do the same thing that you are already doing. You're just going to get a piece of paper and have people tell you, like, okay, it's okay for you to do that. And I'm not doing it illegally right now. It's just I have this thing where I like to read, highlight, research, and all these different things. So um, I do read over contracts. Of course, I refer them to like a lawyer, somebody who has the, but I do read over and highlight them and then send them over to them. And they're like, and why would you do that? I mean, why would you go and spend? And they tell me how much it was. I was like, hold on, hold on, wait a minute. Um, I'm gonna give myself permission to sit this one out. I'm gonna just keep on going the way I'm going, and then if somebody come along and be like, "Hey, I'll pay for you to go there," then I'll do it. But right now, it's like I'm giving myself permission to be great. Luckily for me, I'm great at a lot of things. Y'all know a couple of hours ago, I was telling y'all that I was struggling with an hour ago. I was struggling and telling y'all with me talking about myself or me just expressing who I am. I wasn't comfortable with that. Hmm. I'm working on that. I'm growing. I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm learning. I'm understanding. I'm letting go. I'm giving myself permission to be great. That's what I'm doing. Giving myself permission to be great. That's the only thing that I'm striving for right now is greatness. And I'm not striving to like get a lot of money. I'm not striving to be well known. I'm not striving to be validated because I validate myself every morning. I'm validating myself right now while I'm looking in this camera and I'm talking. That's a lot of things that I feel like more if more people gave themselves permission to be okay, gave themselves permission to love themselves or encourage or support themselves, then we would have a lot less emotionally immature adults. There's so many situations where if you look at the news for the last, I want to say since the pandemic, it probably was more, before the pandemic, but especially since the pandemic because there's like no one out here talking about healing. I mean, Iyama, but she don't even have her show anymore. Like there's there's more people that need to talk about healing or going to therapy or understanding why things are happening to you or why they happen to you. And like I would say to someone, I was like, as a person who have been sexually abused, um the way that I responded wasn't like drugs or alcohol or I kind of went internal. Like I just like kind of like shut down like that outgoing fun loving child that I wasn't that anymore. Like I just shut down and just like went inside myself and was like I got to do what's best for me. I became stubborn. I like didn't trust people. I was just looking out for myself. And I was like that's not everybody's story. It's not everybody's story. I'm pretty sure like you've heard stories about like men who experience sexually being sexually abused. Their stories are totally different. Their stories are totally different whether it's a male or a female that abuses them because they have to fight so many different things. And one of the big things that a lot of people fight is homosexuality. And that's because they hear so many negative things. Like think about it, right? How many positive things did you hear about homosexuality? You heard that God destroyed the whole city and killed everybody up in there because they was gay. You heard that God just don't like it. It's punishable by death. Like you done heard. Why would you want to be that? Why would you want to subject yourself to that? Like that's, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's like, why would you subject yourself to that? Like think about it, right? Why would you want to take on people like bashing you every chance you get? Why would you invite that in? I mean, especially if you're a person of color, like think about it. You already got enough that you gotta fight through or get past. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Give yourself permission to learn and grow. Learn from your previous mistakes and grow from it. Don't continue to make it. Don't continue to be like, oh, I was hurt, so I had to, show other people how that feel. Or don't like be bitter. Don't be angry. Angry. Don't take revenge out on people. Don't take revenge. Because I'm telling you, it only pushes you back from where you're supposed to be. Like right now, we are in a global fucking pandemic, right? If you haven't decided to do everything, like 3 years ago, 3 years ago, you didn't know where you were going to be, what you were going to do, who you're going to be able to talk to. We didn't know any of that. 3 years later, it's like, have you started that business? Have you started that YouTube? Have you wrote that book? Do you have an outline for the book? Like, have you even made the steps? Have you even taken the steps to get to where you want to be? Or are you just waiting for it to magically fall from the sky? Like you toss a prayer up to Jesus or whatever deity you have, and you're just waiting for him to pour it down on you. Give yourself permission to get up and go get it yourself. And that's not to say that Jesus is not going to give it to you. That's to say, I need to stop waiting for somebody else to do what I know I need to do. Give yourself permission to push past fear. I said 2023, I came to 2023. I looked back at the last 3 years of my life and I was like, I allowed fear to stop me in so many instances. I didn't submit my resume because I was like, maybe it's not. I didn't talk to people, like people would message me. I didn't respond to them because I was afraid, like, okay, what if? And I said 2023, I'm responding to every email. I'm messaging people ahead of time. Anybody I want to work with, anybody I want to work for, anybody I don't want to collab with, I'm hitting them up. I'm working through fear. I'm one of those podcasts. I know that I don't like. I am much better now. I've grown. Like I said, I sat and I processed it. I went through. I allowed myself to feel that. I didn't like people giving me compliments because the first compliment I ever like received from someone, like it turned ill. It turned disgusting. And so everything after that was just like, no, I got to protect myself. And I said to myself, I'm protecting myself from what? Love. I'm protecting myself from what? There's nothing like, it's God grant me the serenity. I can't change it. I can't change how you feel about me. I can't change it. I could say how I feel. I could say you can watch me. You can watch me live stream. You can hang out with me. You could do all of that. But if you don't see the things that I see, you're going to have your own opinion. I can't change your opinion. I had to learn to push past fear. So um I've been operating like when I get that feeling, like you get that feeling like you about to do something really huge and you get that feeling like, eh, I had that. And I was like, no, I promised myself that I was going to do it. Even if I'm scared, I'm going to do it. Because what I realized, a lot of the stuff that I have asked in the last 3 years, I was afraid, but I did it because, it's like these are my dreams, my hopes, my aspirations. But now it's like, fuck it. I'm with everything. I want to do a concert series. I want to speak more. I want to do all this. And in order to do that, I have to put myself in situations. And that's coming from somebody who like, no, I got to protect myself. Now I'm putting myself in situations and I'm not afraid of being hurt because I've been hurt before. I'm not afraid of being disappointed because I've been disappointed before. I'm not afraid of being rejected because I've been rejected before. Like once you sit down and actually process all these things, it's like you've already experienced those things. So the more you experience it, the less like your reaction should be to it. Like not that you become numb, but it's like, okay, you know what it feels like to be angry. So next time you get angry, you're not going to pop off or beat somebody up or, be violent. You're going to sit and breathe. You're going to do some breath work. You're going to breathe. You're going to just say, why am I angry? Why did that make me angry? Because I think a lot of people just get angry and they don't have that. They don't have that because they just go 0 to 60 right away. And that goes to being taught, like when you're younger, what happens when you get angry? What happens when you get upset? Does somebody give you space and opportunity? Has anybody ever asked you, why are you upset? Why did you allow this situation to get you so mad? Why did it make you so mad? Like, has anybody ever asked you those questions? Do you ask your kids those questions? I remember they used to talk about bullies all the time, right? And they used to say people who were getting bullied or people who were bullying come from really bad like situations. That's what they used to tell us. Like, they come from a bad situations. They don't have things at home, so they come to school and they do all of that. But now it's just then I was just thinking like, so when do somebody put their arms around them and tell them that they love them? That's why, like a lot of the things that you hear me say in my podcast, into the podcast, into the lives, into the videos, I tell people I love them, and people are like, you don't know them. How do you love? I don't need to know you to love you. You are another human being. You are just like me, trying to find your way through life, wanting to be happy, healthy, and whole. That's what we're all here for. Some of us want to be rich, and then you get rich and realize it's not what it's cracked up to be. If you don't believe me, look at a lot of these celebrities. They rich beyond their wildest dreams, but a lot of them are unhappy. Billionaires, unhappy. Allow yourself, give yourself permission to be happy. If you just started a YouTube and all only video you got on your YouTube is your introduction, be happy. Cause you remember when you kept saying for years you was gonna do a YouTube. If you made it out of if you made it out of high school and you're thinking about going to college, if you feel like school isn't for you, find out what is. Find out that thing that does work for you. I was telling my mom, I was like, it's so crazy because you bought us every game system, right? And we would play the games like, oh, I used to be on Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, like to the my thumbs would be like flat. That's how much I would play them, right? And you would tell us that we couldn't make a career out of playing video games, and now people are sitting at home playing video games, making more than people who go to work 70, 40, how many hours? 30 hours a week. They're making more money than that. I be sharing with people like I'm sharing with y'all. I'm gonna share with y'all too. I got videos and stuff coming. Um, it's people who actually sleep on live, who live stream themselves sleeping. They make a lot of money. So I be telling people like you out here going to a job that you don't like, a job you claim you you complain about every day, every weekday, every Monday, every hump day, every day you complain you don't like it. And you could be at home sleeping in front of your computer making money. Like this pandemic changed the course of life. It gave us an opportunity where I could sit right here at this computer and never even have to go outside. I'm at this point right now because I went to the grocery store yesterday and I haven't been out. You know, I have a weird relationship with food, so I eat like oatmeal. I was eating like fruits and vegetables, so I've been doing that, but I haven't been juicing. But I didn't understand how much food costs. So I went to the store yesterday. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start juicing, so let me get this juice and stuff, right? I bought a pineapple, cabbage, kielbasa sausage, shrimp, mm, carrots, green apples. I don't even know why I said green apples, but apples. I said pineapple, mangoes, and I spent $109. I looked at all, and I didn't even have a cart full of stuff. I just, the top part of your cart. That's all I had. I said, I don't know where I've been at, but I didn't know groceries was that high. And I said, that's why I'm going back to juicing. I got to. That was groceries. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to cut the the fruits and vegetables I got up. I'm gonna have to use my not my big blender or big juicer. I'm gonna have to use my little blender because $109. And Actually, it was more than that, but thank God for, the cards where you sign up. That's why you should always sign up for grocery store cards. Like I signed up for CVS and sign up for the cards, y'all. Sign up for every card, restaurant cards. If you go to Vegas a lot, sign up for the hotel cards. Sign up for the airline cards. Sign up for the cards. Sign up for the cards. Um, no, I was so hurt. My heart was broken. I said I'm never coming outside again. $109. I've never spent that. Never spent that. And y'all would think that I bought like really expensive stuff. Nope. I purposely went in the store. It was like, okay, I bought like stuff that was typically it was usually be like $2, $3. I don't even think I was paying attention to the price tag because I was like, why would it be that much? When I looked at eggs, I said, "Oh, I know I'm not eating no eggs." Uh, Who? No, no. When I saw that cereal was $7, where? How? When did? No, it's a no for me. I would just eat. I really wish that I was in a position where I could start a garden because I really would start a garden. That's what I would do. I've been YouTube and there's this ergonomical. I hope that's the way you say it. But there's this in-house thing that you can grow all of your fruits and vegetables, and I'm like, oh, that's me all day. I spend all the money I need to get that, and I save myself some money on the other stuff. That's what I do. So I don't know. I'm figuring it out. But I just want us to give ourselves permission. Give ourselves permission to fail. I know they have this thing where it's like fake it till you make it, and at one point, do you realize that you don't have to? That's not something that you really have to do. You can purpose in your mind that you're going to do something and do it. Stop waiting until you get the right lights, or stop waiting to when I get this good money, or when I get this ring, or when I get. Stop waiting for that. What if that day never comes? What if the day never comes and you're a millionaire? What if maybe you're only meant to be 100,000 there? Are you gonna stop living because you didn't make it to be a millionaire? I wouldn't. I remember I told the story about on my live streaming platforms, Twitch and Kick. Um, I stream on TikTok too, but we know what's going on with TikTok. Um, I remember I was talking to them and I was saying like I wanted to do live stream. Like when the pandemic first hit, I knew that there had to be another way that I could like interact with people because I knew we couldn't go outside. So I knew there had to be another way. And that's when I found Twitch. And I found Twitch and I saw people sitting on the edge of their bed just playing keyboards or playing pianos and playing guitars, and I was just like, "Holy cow! I'm literally watching somebody over in New Zealand. I'm watching somebody over in California, up in Atlanta. I'm watching people over in Russia and China, Saudi Arabia. Like I'm real life right now, looking at these people and talking to them, and I was just like, wait a minute." And then I would notice a little in the little corner down there. They used to have this like I think some people still have it, but there was like a jar, and I would see the numbers in that jar just turn over, and I was like, wait a minute, let me Google, and I Googled the jar, and I said, wait a minute, they sitting on the side of their bed singing everybody else songs, and they getting paid to do that. Oh, I need to look into this because I don't like to go outside anyway, so and then I just started live streaming. I didn't do it to like be monetized. Even with like YouTube, I wasn't doing it to be monetized. I just see it as a place to come and talk. Again, I was just wanting to get past not enjoying the sound of my voice. So I would just come here and talk. And then I wanted to be comfortable with singing again. So I started doing Saturday Night Vibes. And then I wanted to do a podcast, so I started doing Saturday night, Sunday night dinner and convo, which is now nurturing conversations. Like I envision myself doing something, and then I start walking in that thing. I want to be a live streamer, so then I started live streaming more. I started with Call of Duty Mobile. I couldn't do anything Couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. So I started with Call of Duty Mobile, and I actually got really good at playing Call of Duty Mobile. Really good. I never would have thought that I would have been good, but I'm really good at playing Call of Duty Mobile, and that introduced me to a whole community on Twitch, and the rest is pretty much history. So now I'm a live streamer. It's just like I'm giving myself permission to be great. So I'm wrapping it up. So I want you to give yourself permission to be great. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be successful. Give yourself permission to leave. If you do not feel loved, appreciated, or respected where you are, leave. Did you just tell us to leave? I'm going to say it again. If you do not feel loved, respected, or appreciated where you are, whether that's in a relationship, whether that is at a job, any situation you are in, if you are working with people recording music, if you are working with people filming a film, or whatever you're doing, if you don't feel loved, respected, and appreciated, you need to remove yourself from that situation and go. You did not survive a global fucking pandemic to not feel loved, respected, and appreciated. If you don't think about anything else about your life, love, respect, and appreciation should be the things, not validation. Like there's this big talk, everybody's talking about, oh, well, now people are paying for their validations. But the thing that I know that a lot of people probably didn't pay attention to, but everybody paid for them. Everybody, the celebrities, they paid for them. You might not think you did because you might not just didn't get them actual physical money, but the more content you gave them, sweat equity, right? The more content you put out, that gives the advertisers more opportunity to post on your page. That gives them more money. The advertisers, pay. You essentially pay for it. Think about all the things you had to do to get verified, right? You had to be have a lot of new press. You had to. It's a lot of things you have to do. Like think you had to pay for all of that, right? You had to pay for that. But there's now it's like, oh, if you had to, we don't want to pay to get validated. But it was cool when everybody was validated, right? You see what I'm saying? It was cool when everybody got validated. I think about even like with streaming, like even with YouTube, it's like when you on that grind to get them thousands, when you get that 1,000 and that 4,000 watch hours, when you on that grind, it's a serious grind. I said, you know what? I've really been neglecting YouTube. I need to get back over here. I was doing my regular Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday lives. I was doing those, but I was like, I need to get back to videos. I started doing shorts. I'm doing everything. I'm coming for everything that I didn't come for in 2020, 2021, 2022. I'm coming for everything in 2023. I want you to give yourself permission to be great. That's all I got. I hope that something I said inspired you, encouraged you, and motivated you to be great, to give yourself a permission to be great, to give yourself permission to leave, to give yourself permission to love, respect, honor, cherish, all of those things. Give yourself permission to forgive, not just other people, but also forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the decisions that you made, because a lot of our decisions don't be great. They don't. That's why I say, hold on, I'm going to get to that point. Give yourself permission to know that the only way that anyone will ever know what you are feeling or what you are thinking is if you use your words. Give yourself permission to speak up. You can't expect anybody to know what's going on with you if you never vocalize it. Speak about it. Tell us. Don't wait till something traumatic happens and then it's like, well, I was going through this. And no, tell us. Find the courage and tell us. That's all I got. Remember that it is important for you to use your words. That is the only way that anyone will ever know what you are feeling or what you are thinking. I will never let a live video, vlog, short, anything that I present to you go out without me telling you to love. This includes your faults, fears, and failures. Love yourself. We all love ourselves when we high. We got that money. We got that job, the girl, the guy. When we on top of the world, everybody know our name. We love ourselves, but you gotta love yourself. The most important times is when you down, when you don't feel like you got it. You gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself through it. Know yourself. Know yourself. Trust yourself. When I say trust, it's that still small voice or that loud voice. It's the hairs on the back of your neck that stand up. It's that little rumble or whatever it is you get in your stomach. Trust that because it will not lead you wrong. And most importantly, just be yourself. Be who you were created to be, not who you feel that we want you to be so that you could feel love. Because anybody that cannot love, respect, or appreciate you for being authentically you do not deserve to be in your space. Listen, I know you didn't survive no global fucking pandemic just to be over here trying to get people to like you. Think back 3 years. It didn't matter who liked you. You was just wanting to live. It's 2023. Pick yourself up wherever you are. Pick yourself up. Maybe you try YouTube and it failed because maybe you weren't supposed to be doing mukbangs. Maybe you weren't supposed to be doing pranks and challenges. Maybe you're a mechanic and you're supposed to show people how to fix cars. Or maybe you're a makeup artist, but you don't have Sephora and Ultra and all those other people. You could go to the dollar store. Maybe you're supposed to show other people whatever it is in your heart that's burning. Maybe that's what you should do. I'm going to encourage you to do that. Whatever is in your heart, do that because it will never lead you wrong. Don't forget to get your toiletries, non-perishable food items, water, disinfectant, set some cash money to the side. And if you are engaged in adult activities, make sure you wrap that shit up because despite a global fucking pandemic, we are still, the STD rates are still rising. If you are free, in a few minutes, I'm going to go off and change the setup and everything, and I'm going to come back and we're going to do some karaoke. So I hope that y'all have a wonderful evening. Again, I hope I said something that encourage, inspire, motivate, uplift your spirits. That's all I got. Until next time, I love you. Peace.